Hello everybody. We're gonna go down this hole, and I'm gonna try to beat Mr. Four Kings. This is titled Mr. Four Kings. It could be Mrs. I don't know. You think? It'd be cool if... I'm getting sidetracked here. It would be cool if they were all ladies, though. But they clearly aren't. They're like several clones or something. Whatever the fuck's going on down there. Okay, brief exploration of the past month that I haven't been doing this, probably. I can't remember. Been doing the t-shirt stuff, which you may not know about. Oh, fine, fuck it, I'll mention it. We go, buy t-shirts now! One of those. God, I hate people like that. But yeah, I made two new t-shirts, the Huge Quest shirt and the Caulifla, not Caulifla shirt. Legally distinct from Caulifla shirt. You can go get those. The old Saiyan Lady shirt that I did, that I actually have art gripe of on this channel, that one got taken down because of a huge swath of, like, requests from, I think they said it's Funimation. I can't remember. But if you got it, you got it. You have a collector's item now, I guess, whatever. But if you didn't get it, too bad. They asked, do you want to, like, change the text on it or something so it doesn't say Saiyan? Because that's what got it taken down, right? But I thought, nah, because then that'll just create the same problem. I don't know, maybe I should. What do you guys think? Because, you know me, I don't actually care. Yeah. But anyways, I did that. I've been doing a bunch of, like, mission shit, videos and whatnot. The main thing that's been eating up all the time is my next project, which is actually a comic starring the Scary Lesson Girls. If you don't know what that is, don't worry too much about it. There will be a video about that coming soon. So that's what's been occupying so much of my time. Plus, I got ill briefly for like a couple of days, in which I just kept falling asleep over and over again. I assume I was ill. Other than that, I was just going crazy. It's hard to tell with me sometimes. Anyways, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to try to kick his ass. Probably won't work. In which case, we'll fast forward to get past Four Kings, because who fucking cares? At which point, we'll actually start the video proper, and Freely can get her busy juice going. Game plan. I thought maybe if I stack Power Within with Gold Pine Resin on something that's faster, in which case, in this case, Broadsword. By the way, Broadsword, probably actually my favorite weapon in Dark Souls. Maybe in just general Dark Souls. It's not effective, like the basic weapons the game get outclassed. I'll talk about that later, but anyways, I just really like it. Really like this move. Whee! I like that move. Okay, I thought maybe if I just stack a fuck ton of DPS, maybe I could actually just face fuck it to death. Maybe if I use Havels to, so I don't have to roll out of that big ass AoE from last time, maybe we can do it that way. So that's the plan, guys. I did like a fist pump and swiveled in my chair and almost fell out. That's the plan. It won't work. But that's the plan. If it doesn't work, I guess I'll just turn off. For the hell of it, I was like, I'll keep the Gravelord shit on for the boss. Why not? Who cares if he's actually doing twice the normal amount of damage and has over twice the amount of normal health? Who cares? Who cares? But we'll do that, and I'll just fast forward. Or who knows? Maybe I'll actually beat him. Huh. Okay. Well, let's get this party started. This is not gonna work. What the fuck? Oh, jeez. Probably should have picked something with better range, but he's got to be up on me anyways. A as well. Wow, this is like doing nothing to him, though. What the hell's going on? Oh, right. I locked my health to get here. Hey! It's very effective, though, cheating, isn't it? Let me fix it real fast. I locked my health so that I wouldn't have to reset everything whenever I was diving through all the enemies. Yeah, it's noticeable. It's a little bit noticeable. The win is completely invalid now. Don't worry, I'm gonna win one or the other. You'll get to make a shitty shit post in the comments, though, about how even locking his health, he still couldn't do it. Ridiculous. Or something of that nature. Okay. Either way, I get the win because I get to inconvenience people and make people angry. Ooh, ooh. They do a lot of damage. They are some sassy ladies, aren't they? He's trying to do his little cheat move. See him doing that? And it wasn't really that bad. This is also kind of a kick in the shitter, isn't it? Because the thing about that move is that it just tracks you forever. And it doesn't really matter where you go, what you do, it just follows you forever. Just like a bad divorce. It just kind of eats you up and just follows you forever. You think you're away from it? I don't know anything about divorces, actually. My parents are still married, their parents were married. No one in my family really gets divorced. Four Kings brings out a lot of feelings about divorce, though. Makes me want to divorce this fucking game. Because it's shitty, just like a bad husband. Four Kings have been cheating on me. With 5 puppers. Now 1 pupper, that's right. Jeez, that's a lot of damage that they did to me. Ha ha ha, I was just gonna heal for it. It's not too bad. You can tell sometimes how... Yeah, see, that was way more effective. Look at that asshole. Such an asshole. I'm glad I'm doing this early, because if I wasn't, oh, I would be so angry. Just, like, out of my mind with anger. Haha, I dodged it. See, this is the reason why you do all the, like, hard stuff right out the gate. Like, really, you're supposed to work up to it, but... For me, nah. I just go way too insane with rage. This general frustration. I was playing, actually, Destiny 2 with, Pat. And, oh, really? I had to lean away from the mic. Look at that, the legendary 5th King. But I was playing Destiny with Pat, and he wanted to get his... Jesus Christ. He wanted to get his PvP rewards. And, of course, the whole... He was forcing me into playing PvP with him. And the whole time, I was, you know, telling him, like he was saying, oh, you're on a 5-kill win streak or something. And I died, and I was miserable about it. And frustrated, and so, why are you angry? Like, you're doing fine. And I had to re-explain to him, this is just how I am. If I'm not completely barreling over content, I tend to not enjoy myself. And PvP in any game is designed so that people have even distribution of, like, wins and losses. Like, that's a common thing. It doesn't matter if it's, like, in the middle of a match in which everyone is supposed to get sort of an even number of kills and an even number of deaths, and it's kind of unusual for someone to have a KD rate of, like, 3-to-1 or something. It's supposed to be some unusual. And in win rates, you're intended to go 50-50. With me, I want to go 100-0. Like, it's not that I'm that competitive, it's just that I can't enjoy myself otherwise. And I'm not really sure why, exactly. I guess I just put so much weight on, am I doing something wrong or am I doing something right? And in many cases in PvP, you're not doing anything wrong at all. And there's absolutely nothing that you can do to alter what's happening. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, you can't improve your playstyle. I guess that's probably it, just the frustration of it. So, when it comes to general gameplay, again, I'm sort of like that. Like, I could face-fuck 4 King. I could face-fuck the 4 King... Was that... No, that's a fucking torch. I fell for it again. I could face-fuck the 4 Kings and do just fine, but if I lose on the last hit like that, I'll be upset. This one of the reasons why I, Jeez, that does a lot of poise damage. But that's one of the reasons why, I kind of go crazy towards the end of one of these things. Because this is a completely unfair mod that I'm running. So, in particular, it drives me crazy. Because there's just nothing you can really do about it. And it's not like you're doing something wrong, necessarily. Okay, but anyways. I promise I'd fast forward, but I guess I'll give you guys one more go at it. Since I locked health like an evil person to set up for the video and then forgot about it. I was actually really fearful of recording this time because the longer that I have the game open whenever I'm setting up, and I had to have it open quite a bit this time around. That's what I forgot to do. The longer that I do that, the longer that it stays open, it seems like, I don't know if it's a memory thing, but it creates more of a problem the longer I go, and it seems like it makes the game more unstable and more prone to crashes because of all the mods. But anyways, that's the reason why I had a bunch of stuff locked, because I just wanted to burst through it as fast as possible, so I didn't run that risk. But one of the things I did is I leveled up my Int and Faith so that we could use those utility spells that I completely forgot about. I sat there and leveled it up, and then I completely forgot to actually equip the damn things. Not gonna matter too much right now, though. But you guys remind me in the comments as I'm playing, which you can't do. I love when people do that. Isn't that great? Doesn't make me special. Alright, let's keep going. If this one doesn't work, we'll fast forward. That's right. Nice, treasured lies that I'm spitting. Good old pleasurable lies. Not too many topics of conversation today to worry about. Jesus, that's a lot of damage. By the way, if you didn't know, Power Within always takes 100% of your health. It doesn't actually matter what you do. It will always... It doesn't matter how much health you have or whatnot. It will always take 100% of it. This is how the spell works. So you can sort of get around that a little bit. If you have a ring or something that can alter your total amount of health points. But the only thing that does that, I guess, is Life Ring and Favor and Protection. And of course, Favor and Protection, it's not like you can just take that off and on. And Life Ring doesn't really do much of anything anyways. So, kind of a moot point. I do wish that Dark Souls had a little bit more in terms of stuff like... Not like that exactly, but... And I'll have more time to think about it once I'm not being bombarded with magical bursts. Here's that shit again. That one overhead attack from last time sure did do a whop romp. That right there. That does a lot of damage to little old Freeland. Yes, sir. Actually, for the finishing this recording today, because I have a sandwich in the refrigerator. And it has salami, or is it pastrami? Either way, I fucking love that shit. Whether it's salami or pastrami, I don't fucking care. I fucking love that stuff. I don't even know what the hell it is. Like, you could be like, oh, it's actually like turkey nutsacks or something. I fucking love this fucking turkey nutsacks. Eat that shit up any day. That's sort of a recent discovery for me, too. Figuring out, oh, I really like salami. Four Kings brings out a lot of thoughts in a man about salami. And divorced. No, bad touch. Stop doing that. It's so stupid looking. Just holding out his hand. I'm gonna touch you. I will touch you with my finger. Don't you do it. Don't you touch me with your finger. I'm gonna do it. And then he didn't do it. And I won. I won the day. Alright. I can tell today's gonna be kind of a particular, like, I'm crazy day. Which is not really that surprising. It's pretty much all days. I'm kind of just glad... I'm glad, but also not glad to not be working. Like, technically I am working right now. There's 3 kings out, come on. But the comic, this is a 6-page comic that I'm working on. So it's it takes a very long time to even make 1 page. And what I'm doing is I'm just doing the line work for all the pages all at once. And then I'm going to go back and do the color all at once and whatnot. It's just very, very tiring. 717. I could probably actually do a little bit more damage if I was just using a slower weapon. I wasn't sure exactly, but mainly the reason why I was doing it with this faster weapon is for the sake of security. No, oh, man, come on. The bad touchdown attack again. It doesn't even really look like a hand whenever they do it. That's... Like, see what I mean? How they're kind of like bad Sephiroth clone ripoffs? Gotta be careful with health. Oh, I see you. Here it comes. Here it comes. I'll just dodge it. crap. I'm glad I have this fucking Havel shield out for this shit. Really, I do not like Havel stuff. Like, people always want to use it because, oh, it's the big strongman thing. To me, Havel stuff, it kind of looks interesting, but mainly because of the stone texture, it also looks really ugly. And the fact that it's so bulky. Like, if it actually didn't really have much of a stat difference between anything else, I wouldn't really mind. But because it's just, oh, it's the best thing ever, one of those things, to me that makes it a little bit shittier. Yeah, I knew I was going to lose all my stamina on that one. Uh-oh. You can really tell that the game was made for shields. Dark Souls 1. Uh-oh. They're starting to get a little more aggressive here at the very end. Shit. I was afraid of that big overhead chop that killed me last time. Gotta get greedy at the end. Yeah. Oh, no need to fast forward, I guess. I was actually kind of looking forward to it in a weird way. Because then that would mean that I wouldn't have to talk while I played the game. But it would just mean more playtime anyway, so I guess joke's on me. Whatever the fuck that means. Okay. Now since we did all this shit out of order, from how I normally do it, we're not gonna get any secret serpents today. Too bad. That is sad. Alright. While we're here and I'm thinking about that shit, I guess we'll do this. Oh, there's so many of these. Don't need flesh much. I'm definitely never gonna use... Iron Flesh, it's useful, but I'm never gonna use it. I just know that I'm never gonna use it, so why do I even bother? I really need the... Let's just equip all the stuff like that. Fall Control, Hush. I might put Oral Decoy in there if I think about it. Ooh, if I have stuff to do, whatnot, blah blah blah. I might keep Flash Sweat on there, I don't know. Where's, did I already put... Do I not have Kess? That's right, you've got to buy it from her, that's what it is. That sucks, because I know I'm going to forget about it. You have to buy Kess Light from the lady that we're going to go see today, because that's the other thing that we're going to have to worry about. I'll put that on. That'll be fun. Which is to say I'll never use it, but I'll say it's going to be fun. Okay. And I'll just put Flash Whip back on there. Nice. Okay. Alright. I can't remember in this game if there is an item that allows you to cast both miracles and magic at the same time. I never use them, so I never ever think about it. Let's actually read the item descriptions. No. 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 It's not going to be a crossbow, probably. Oh, I don't even really have anything as far as testing this shit out goes. It's kind of interesting. Of course, I haven't been paying any attention, so... And, oh, I haven't been getting the drops, of course. It's randomization mod. I forgot already. Huh. Well, most of them are like this anyways, and that has a proper cast speed. Okay. I really want the light one, though. That's what I want. Alright, but here's the plan today, guys. The plan today is we only have... Let's just go through them. We have Skeleton Town, which we did. Four Kings Land, which we four kinged, and now it's gone to 0 kings. Actually, there were like 6 or 7 of them this time, weren't there? We got that done. Duke's Archives, we finished that. So we have Demon Ruins, basically, left to go. And I don't wanna, because I'm already kind of nutty, and I don't want to go completely insane just yet. By the way, look how many required souls. Jeez. 3.7 million. So my idea is, well, we may as well do the DLC, try to knock that out. Because I wonder what Gravelord, super aggressive Artorias is like. He's probably an asshole. He probably is. I think that's safe to say. Okay, so, Unto Perish, I guess, is the way to go. Oh, this is gonna be rough. What should I do with my 60,000 souls? Should I throw them into a well? Should I just throw them off a bridge? Probably, may as well. That's pretty much exactly the only thing I'm gonna be doing with them, I say. Did I kill that stupid Hydra? Maybe I didn't. I honestly cannot remember. I cannot fucking remember what I have done. I have not done. I didn't even have a thing prepared as far as dressing her up goes today. What should we wear today? You know what? Some behind the scenes stuff for you guys. I'll try to make it fast. Like, I'll usually do stuff like this where I'll put this on and I think, ooh, that looks nice. I wonder what I could pair that with to get a complete look. And then I'll start going around and going, well, what's white that would actually pair with it? And I'll do something like this, like look in the maiden robe. And I'll say, well, that doesn't really have very good defense and it doesn't really mesh. Plus, it's sort of clouding the rest of the stuff down there, so that doesn't really fit. And then I'll think, well, the Silver Knight stuff is actually the same thing as the painted Guardian robe's bottom, if you didn't know that. Like the same sort of scale stuff. Like if you equip a... No, I'm thinking of Artorias' set. That's right. But this one is very, very similar in that respect. So maybe I will do something like that. And I will equip... Wow, I just completely lost my train of thought. My brain just, like, screeched to a halt. I will equip the paint... No, not that, not that. Come on, brain. Silver Knights. I will equip the Silver Knight gauntlets if my brain can actually focus. Have I not got them? Have I not gotten these things yet? I may have not have gotten them. I cannot remember. Because it seems like they did come separately. Shit. And that's why Fashion Souls is hard. Because it just takes so much time. Okay, let's just go with the old standby. Let's find the Boulder sexy leggings. If I can concentrate long enough. Which I apparently can't. Jeez, where are they? Here they are. Gosh. And just throw something else on. I don't fucking know. Usually I have to use the hollow sets, because those are the ones that expose that sweet, sweet midriff. That's what everyone wants, even if it does get me killed. Yes, sir. That's what everybody wants. Oh yeah, and some Havels. Some Havels shit too. Because, oh yeah. And, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, just throw that for old time's sake, as Thief's Mess. There we go. Now she's ready. I can probably switch off Havel's stuff. I can't remember what I was doing with this. Wolf Ring, that's what it was. In honor of Artorias, whose ass we might kick today, but probably not. Check our... Ooh, wow, we have way too much. Oh yeah, I forgot. Leveled up our stats, so we don't even have to worry about that anymore, do we? Rolling action? Are we that lucky? No, we are not that lucky. Okay. I could put on the Ring of Favor and Protection, I guess, but I don't feel like it. Let's just throw Havels on and just call it a day. Alright, I'll start listening to Andre's hammering anyways. But that's how you fashion souls. You just look at one thing, and then you decide, oh, Jesus. I forgot about you. You look at one thing, then you give up on life. That's how you do it, guys. Whenever I was going down to Funky Town in the right before the Four Kings stuff, right before I started recording, I was in that full like setup with all the Havel stuff, not the giant set and a Havel shield. The Dark Race were taking 2 hits to Poise break, but they were also Poise breaking me very easily. And that wasn't too bad. Which was fairly irritating. So I was thinking before I even got started, you know, Poise really is probably the worst stat in Dark Souls. You know, even PvP aside, who are the most irritating enemies? Usually it's the ones that ignore... I'll use that as a minor talk. I have some notes from last time. Actually, let me get that out of the way real fast. Emperor of LOL says, I don't know why you asked to cheat in your Int and Faith, which I did today. For utility spells, since you haven't even used the Pyromancies yet, despite having them too. I have, in fact, and some of you will remember that they barely do any damage to the things that I'm attacking. And they're very slow in the process too, so that's the reason why I have not bothered with them. So, yes, I have. And they're not particularly great, because this is not Dark Souls. This is Dark Souls in your asshole, because that's where it wants to be. And it's not going to leave, because of all the mods. Maybe I'll use Pyromancy some later on, but in general, spell use kind of falls by the wayside in some areas, and especially at late game. In late game, it seems like the game really, really wants you to just be a big armor man that has a big weapon. I think that's one of the sort of minor problems with Dark Souls 1, is that sort of it funnels you into that sort of playstyle. The thing I mentioned. By the way, hold on, I need to move like one or two windows out of the way because I can barely read what the hell my notes say. Because I didn't properly prepare, I guess, because I'm an asshole. Some people misunderstood what I was talking about in regards to equip burden, because it's been like 3 weeks now. But I said that my more elegant way of solving the equip burden problem would be if one weapon was what determined what your weight was. And so some people didn't understand that. I can tell that most people did because you didn't say anything about it. Only like a few people commented this way. But if you're one of those people that are like, well, that would just create problems in PvP, you're probably misunderstanding me. I'm not saying... Like, imagine this stupid catalyst was like a dagger or something, and imagine my broadsword here that I'm using is like a demon's great axe. What you're probably imagining is running around with your dagger out. Oh, I'm so fast because my equip burden is so light. And then whenever you finally get to a spot where you actually want to attack someone, you switch over your demon's axe. At which point, you're incredibly slow, but now you're in a position to attack, in which case you just attack and you can get away with having both the best of both worlds, right? That's probably what you're thinking. But like I said last time, and I guess some people glossed over it or didn't understand what I meant, what I'm saying is that if this was a demon's great axe and this was a dagger, the game would look at your equip burden, and right now, like, it just adds all these things together, which is a problem, I would say. And what I said was it would only look at one of these weapons, which you guys took to mean that it just looks at whichever one is active. No, I mean, it only looks at the one that is the heaviest. So even if you are running around with your dagger out, I'm running around with my dagger, you would still be moving at the speed you would with that demon's great axe out, because that is the heavier of the two items that you have slotted. That way, it is always balanced by what the heaviest possible loadout that you could be carrying around happens to be. So, if you don't understand what I mean by that, I don't know how to explain it any better than that, but some people had a problem wrapping their heads around that, or I didn't explain it correctly, or something, so there you go. I'll save that one. Those are my two notes I can get away with mentioning real fast, and I pray I can remember what the hell I was talking about. It had something to do with that Demon Titanite. I thought, well, I'll get through it so fast I'll just be able to remember what I was trying to talk about. But I can't remember what I was trying to talk about. I really can't. I was fighting the Demon Titanite. I was about to say something... like, something about frustration. I cannot fucking remember. Sorry, it was actually kind of interesting talking about, but I can't remember what the hell it was. Probably had something to do with some amazing thought I had. You'll just have to imagine that it was something amazing. Really mowing these guys down proper this time around now, though. I wonder why that could be. Actually, the stuff that I'm actually using, like 80-40, is pretty bad as far as that goes, but it's not that bad, especially since we're on the equivalent of, like, New Game Plus 3. Or whatever the hell it is. Plus aggression mod. Anyways, I really wish I could remember what I was going to say. Sorry, I didn't get a drink. Oh, it has something to do with that damn Demon Titanite. Titanite Demon. What the hell was I doing? I went outside, I started fighting him. Then I started talking about something else, I can't remember what it was. Oh well, I'll remember it once I've stopped recording. But there's other things that I was going to talk about. I think it had something to do with the ability to equip things or something, and that's why I kind of went off on a tangent, because I remembered that I was going to talk about that too. Anyways, I guess I'll just go down my list of things to talk about. Xeno Witcher says a good example of utility-based magic might be words from Skyrim, maybe? Sort of. I mean, words in Skyrim had their own problems. Probably the most obvious being... Jeez, I did a lot of damage. The most obvious which being probably that Boost Roda is so incredibly useful that it's almost impractical to use anything other than that. Try not to... This is a bad enemy, by the way, the Hydra. Not because it's, like, undefeatable or anything like that. Just kind of a shitty enemy. I guess it's supposed to be designed in this classical sense of how can you overcome this obstacle? Not so much that it's a video game enemy. Which I kind of appreciate the fact that it's sort of a old school, this is an object in the world, how can you possibly get past it sort of thing. I can kind of appreciate that it's not just a video game enemy with, like, phases and stuff, which is something else I want to talk about today. Man. But, like, the camera and stuff is probably primarily the reason why it's not a particularly great enemy. Yeah. This is another one of those examples of you can tell that Dark Souls was designed for shields. Because, I mean, you can roll out of the way of these things, but they have lingering hitboxes. Which makes it extremely difficult to deal with them. Fortunately, they always hit the same spots. It's just a matter of memorizing where they're going to be. Ooh, queued up that one. There we go. Really want to get rid of this thing, because I'm super tired of looking at its stupid fucking face every single time that we go through here. Yeah, you can spit. Yeah, you did it. You did it. You're pure magic. You're pure magic, buddy. Who made you? Fuck you. I think I even talked about that in the lore playthrough. It's like, where did this thing come from? What mysteries does Dark Souls have for us today? Fuck that. He's a fucking asshole. Jeez. Coming close. Alright, dickweed, come on. No, don't do that. Don't... Like, that's right in the water. I can't even hit you from there. Yeah, he's just gonna throw a fit now. I'm probably gonna have to get the bow out just to be able to deal with this. And if I get too far away, he'll use his one head to blow chunks. Oh, you did it! Oh, who's a sweet... See, I'm already doing it. I'm already getting crazy. See how fucking close... Okay, fuck this. No, this is not okay. I need... Yeah. Okay, that's what I want. Actually, I probably can just, yeah. And he's so stupid. Oh, are you over here? Are you over here? I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna bite you all the way over there. What? Oh, you very rarely see that. Oh, thanks for the Guardian leggings, asshole. You very rarely see that. Where you actually cut off all the heads, but it still has health remaining. That's how effective this mod is at ruining my life. Okay. That is finally done, thank God. We also haven't done the forest yet, but I was going to say that until post-DLC for obvious reasons, just for old time's sakes. Man. Big red wolf Sith. That's gonna be a good time. Alright. Sorry. But yeah, the words from Skyrim, based, utility-based magic. Some people threw a fit. That's not what utility really mean, all this other stuff. Pedantic arguments that I'm not going to bother addressing. But, like, words of power in Skyrim, kind of, I would say sort of the balancing problem with the words of power in Skyrim is the fact that you can't really use more than one at the same time. They have the sort of prolonged cooldown, and not many of them are combat-related at all, exactly. Or a more common problem, and this is kind of a common design problem with... Oh, right, forgot I had to reload. A common design problem in general is if there's one of them that is so effective at killing enemies, which is primarily what they're used for. Come on. Primarily what they're used for. Then why would you use one that is less effective at actually stopping enemies? Let's quit out. I pray this is not crash. Please crash the game. I really would love it if you crash the game. My 44-hour playthrough of this game. Okay, here we go. Oh, doesn't he just look like a precious angel? Sure, this is going to be fun. Right, the fucking ring. Do I even have that? Yes, I do have that. Good for me. Oh, look at him. He's coming. But the words kind of had that problem, where there were several that actually were interesting, but why would you ever use them? Like, you have Fus Roda, which does exactly what you need it to, and you have weapons that do exactly what you need it to. The enemies are kind of disposable health sponges. Not health sponges. Well, they're health-only enemies. They're different kinds of games. A problem with having all of your enemies basically just be sort of like this, just lumbering health bars that just walk towards you and you just attack them and they go away. If you have enemies that are like that, then you don't really have to do anything to them in order to kill them other than just deal damage. So you're naturally going to be funneled into whatever is the most effective at doing that. And Skyrim did sort of have that problem with, just equip a weapon and just run towards the guy and hit the guy and he goes down and mission complete. You don't even have to use Fus Roda. Especially you don't have to use these other things like whatever the hell they did, I can't remember. Skyrim's kind of a shitty game, so I didn't really play it that much. One that makes you faster, or one that, like, frightens enemies or something. That's interesting, but that's something you also have to look out for whenever you're designing things like that. That if you... Like, some people have suggested that. Like for the weapon elemental stuff. Like, there was more than one person that was like, well, what if we change it so that the elemental stuff doesn't just do damage? Except that fire is the one that deals damage, and it deals damage over time, or whatever it is. Because that's naturally what people go to. But if you do that, then everyone's just going to use fire. Because that's the one that gives you more damage. Sure, it's cute that the other one might slow down enemies, or cause them to magnetize to one another, and go flying off into the wild blue yonder, or something crazy. And you might toy around with it for a little bit, but eventually everyone's just going to go back to fire, because that's the general purpose one that gets the job done. Because that's the one that has the number attached to it. So whenever you're designing utility-based anything, or I'm not even going to try to use another word, because that's what it is. It's just utility-based stuff. Some people got angry that I was not using a more precise word for things that are utility-based when they are clearly utility-based. But if you're going to do that, you're going to design a huge array of spells or abilities that actually do that. Then you can't have one of them be the one that deals damage, or else that's one that people are going to use. Because numbers matter in a video game that is based on numbers.
So,
it will be the most effective thing. You have to be very careful about it.
Most gracious, I am deeply obliged. I am Dusk of Ulasil. I cometh from age long before thine. I cannot stay here for long. So, before I disappear, allow me to ask one thing. My home, Ulasil, is the home of ancient sorceries.
Why would she describe her own sorceries as being
Past
ancient?
profound knowledge to thee, with thine approval.
If that is her home time, that's like me. That's like something comes through a portal, abducts me because they want furry girls in the future or something, I don't know. And I wake up on like a bed and they don't know what like drawing on paper is or something. And I say, allow me to... Like, I start talking like an asshole like she is. Allow me to impart to thee the ancient secret, so ancient of paper. Or whatever it is. Drawing on paper and not a tablet. What is this paper you speak of? It's like that. Why would you refer to your own shit as ancient? Dumb asshole. What'd she ask? Yeah.
My heartfelt thanks. I am pleased beyond words.
Please take thine furry offerings
Signature.
into thine future, which is most certainly my present now. For my past, my present, is indeed ancient. It is beyond the scope of my reckoning. Have unto thee a ghostly image of my fucking face. Jesus Christ. Okay. So we gotta go over there, gotta summon her, I gotta buy cast light, so I can finally equip my precious cast light that I will use one time and then forget about it. That's what I want, though. That's what baby wants. Alright. What if I could have... Hush, I think, would... No, that wouldn't really do anything. If it was fog, that definitely would break the game, I think. Because remember what happens whenever we equip the fog ring. It actually basically nullifies the aggression mod. Some people have been throwing a fit about the aggression mod. Like, turn it off! I fucking hate it! That's what this whole playthrough is. Like, that's the bit. Like, you just want to watch me just walking through, just one-shotting enemies now? What the fuck's wrong with you? Some people have been throwing a fit about it. But remember, whenever I started using that ring, a lot of people also threw a fit about the fact that it was basically validating the mod in the first place. So you can't make everyone happy. Which doesn't bother me, because as you probably know, I don't give a shit if you're happy or not. Because I'm an asshole. Hi, asshole. God, I don't know, just... You know, really, that dress does not look good on her. It doesn't look good on her. It looked better on the floor. You know. But just like her haircut... And something about her face. I don't know, she kind of... She looks like she would look better if she were just like in a button-down flannel shirt or something. She kind of has that look about her. I'm not saying anything about anything. I know how you are. But I'm just saying, like, she would look... If she was wearing more ordinary clothing... I guess I went to the button-up flannel shirt just because that's what I consider ordinary, because I'm a hick. I don't know. I was about to say a t-shirt. That's what I wear. I wear like a nasty V-neck white t-shirt all day because it's the middle of nowhere and I don't give a shit. And I'll never improve as a person. But she would look pretty good if she were in something that weren't this ugly dress. Especially since she's already so pale. Like, it just doesn't look good on you. You look fucking awful. Give me cast light.
Dusk of Ulyssiel.
You already did this.
Honor to see thee again. I shall follow thy wishes.
So did she go back to the past? Let's not even discuss it. Remember whenever I was here in my original playthrough, we just stood here for 40 minutes and I talked about time travel and why it's stupid? It's pretty stupid. Never make... I said it before. Never, ever make time travel a focal point of your story. Like, you can use it as just a device to get people to meet. Like, what if you could meet your father whenever he was young? And, telling, don't have me because I'm a monster, or whatever it is. That's an interesting plot point. The idea, not the idea of time travel, but the idea of you meeting your past relatives before you were born, or whatever it is. That's interesting. You know what's not interesting, and it gets really fucking convoluted? Whenever you start analyzing, well, how did the time travel happen, though? How did it happen? Why would they do that in the first... Like, was there a time machine? Did they build such a device? How come it doesn't work this way? And then you get all these questions that you didn't need to get into in the first place, because the whole point of having time travel is that it's just a fucking plot device to explore ideas. And Dark Souls made the mistake of actually going too far and incorporating this complicated nonsense of her traveling back and forth through time and summoning signs, and oh, it's actually only 200 years before the events of the game, even though that doesn't make any sense for various reasons I detailed in my original thing. But anyways.
For a very long time, I was trapped within the
Were you conscious of these events? Is that why you knew that your sorceries were ancient?
Distortion. It was there that thou came to
She was banished to a plane of distortion. I wish I could be banished to a plane of distortion.
My faith reneweth.
You know, it's going to be good to be dead, if you think about it. I know, it seems like once you get, like, if you get older, I'm sure, like, if you're as old as I am, like I'm 30, whatever the hell I am now, 35? I can't remember. But once you get to be that age, you probably have a family because you're normal and you're not like me. So you're kind of worried more about, well, I've got to keep going for my kids and I have other goals now. I have a wife, you know, we really enjoy our time together or whatever the hell people that are romantically involved even do. But if you're like me, you kind of have gotten old enough, you're like, I've seen enough. And you're like also, well, I don't have kids or a wife or anything, so it's not like I'm sticking around for anybody in particular. And it's not even like a depression or suicide thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's just more of a kind of a boredom thing. So whenever you die, it's just like, oh, I don't have to do anything anymore. That's nice. And that's it. Like, especially if you're young, that must sound horrifying. But no, once you get older, it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? So she should... I guess my point is that the Dusk of Ulasil should probably be dead. Because that would be a much better outcome for her. Not because she's a terrible person, but because, you know, just death is great, if you think about it. Freely probably wishes that she was dead.
The sorceries of Ulasil.
Oh, tell me all about it. Those are nice flowers.
It is difficult to explain. Ulasil's sorceries are, what doth one say?
We don't know what the fuck we're doing, is what she's saying.
Of an approximation.
We don't really know what the fuck we're doing, so we just kind of just wing it, you know?
Negating all but thyself. Does thou not find some fascination in
I do appreciate... Like, I just talked about how you don't really go too much into the detail about the mechanics behind things, but I do appreciate this hint that when it comes to casting things, it does make magic a little bit more interesting. This knowledge that the more ancient versions... Like, you can tell what... I already bought them, so you can't see it. But you notice all her spells were just things like, you know, cast light, make your little feeties not as loud. I don't think that actually was one of those, but none of them were really damage-based, necessarily. There may be... No, I think there might have been one or two. I can't really remember. But a lot of them were just, I guess, if they do deal damage, it's like, just deal damage. But most of the more modern ones are a little bit more particular in what they're doing. And hers are more just, we just use them to, like, cook shit and, you know, light candles or whatever it is.
If thou art in need, pray
So,
summon me
I
again.
kind of appreciate it.
I wish to be of assistance. May the flames guide thee.
I don't really remember too much from my original playthrough, but I do remember talking here for eons. Kind of going nuts talking about it. And then there's, like, a moment where I saw, like, one of these flowers, or... I think it was like one of these or something. And then I got really excited and pulled out my binoculars and said, oh, what's this? Is it more secrets? And then it's like, oh no, it's just nothing. It's absolutely nothing. I think it was one of these, because I thought this was like a white flower. And I thought, ooh, does this have a link with something else? Because Dark Souls? No, it doesn't. Anyways, let's go get man touched by Manus. I get, oh god, the Sanctuary Guardian. Oh... Oh. And he's got a fucking tail drop, too. Oh, Calamede's there, too. Oh. Nobody wants to hear me. I don't want to talk about it, and you guys don't want to listen to me talk about it. Oh. Oh. Fuck me. I don't know, maybe I'll just look it up. Maybe I'll just look it up. Hold on. Let's fucking look it up. Where did I put that? I just gotta look up what the fuck is on his tail, so we'll know what it is. Because I desperately do not want to do that. I cannot describe to you much I don't want the thing. Okay. I'll have to remember where I installed this thing. Here he is. Okay. Control F. Now, what was it? Sanctuary. No. Sanctuary Guardian. Sanctuary Guardian tail cut. A rare ring of sacrifice. Fuck no, I ain't getting that. He's gonna die. I ain't gonna touch his tail, not even once. He's gonna watch it for 30 years in preparation for the sex he'll never have. That's right. Oh, right. I was expecting there to be a bunch of clothing there, but of course, randomization. Alright. Quit out again. Potentially crashing the game. Yes, I love potentially crashing the game. Just one more step closer to death. What? Oh, that's right. Oh. You have to talk to her to get the stupid pendant to proc in the Duke's archives. Then you go get the... Oh, for God's sakes. Why the fuck did they decide this? This one fucking thing. Why did I do that? What the fuck's wrong? Jesus Christ. This one fucking thing after this goddamn thing. This fucking bum going fucking crazy. Alright, we'll go to Duke's archives. And... God, her ass is fabulous. We'll go to Duke's archives. We'll go get that. Because Miyazaki... Or, what's his name? Oh god, I forgot. My brain. No, I shouldn't be going here either. What am I doing? You should be going to Anor Londo. Oh my god, my brain. I can't believe how hard it is for me to think right now. I can't even figure out what's going on. Where am I? But yeah, we're gonna do whatever it is that I thought I was doing. Did it. Oh, runtime error. Great. I knew all those load-ins would do me good. Thank goodness. At least now I can actually concentrate briefly, but not really. Alright, see you in a second. Bye. Okay, I hope I re-enabled everything just so. I could tell that this was time for it to leave this mortal coil, because whenever I went to my renders, I noticed that instead of one file, there were two of them. And one of them was like 2 minutes long for some reason, because Bandicam had just, for some reason, just decided, you know what, I'm just going to stop recording. I'm going to start recording again, for no reason, which it has done before. Which might actually prove beneficial because it means I don't have to re-render an entire giant file. Maybe it just means I have to re-render that one... That's a beautiful sky. Makes me want to buy a boat. It means I only have to re-render that 1 2-minute file, I guess. Okay. Oh, wait. I forgot. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put my shit down. Okay, yeah, we get to do it now. Good for us. I don't even need to have light down here, but now I can do it. Chameleon... Unfortunately, Chameleon doesn't work on enemies. I guess it's just PvP only. It might have some sort of weird effect that I'm not aware of. Oh, I really want to use it, though. I really want to be stupid. Oh, I was... Another thing that Pat has sort of had to learn, anytime that we play a game together, he has to learn the hard lesson that I want to goof off. This is another thing that kind of makes me not enjoy PvP, is the fact that I don't really take things that seriously, and I'm kind of too busy just dicking around a lot of the times. Like, we played For Honor together one time, and he was try-harding super hard that day. I had a little bit more experience at that point, so at one point he was like, no, actually try Plague. And I did, like, I was playing Conquer, and I did the generic shoulder bash R2 combo, infinite, that it can do. And it's like, holy shit, you know, just had I'm learning the game for the first time sort of moment. And then after that, we just went back to I went back to screwing around and he didn't. It's something that he's had to adapt to several times. Like, I'll wander off and start looking at a wall, or I'll start trying to write my name in a wall with bullets or something. Or I'll get on my Sparrow in Destiny and start riding around him while he's dying. because I think that's funny. I'm kind of a dick if you haven't gotten the gist of it. Okay, yeah, that's unfortunate. This did give me the opportunity, though, to go back and listen to what the fuck I thought I was saying that one time where I was like, what was I doing? You know, the one time. That's a funny joke, also. Okay, I forgot about this part. Remember this? How we have to bait each one of these individually out? God, this is fabulous. We have to bait each one of them out individually, and we can't stray too far over here, or else they all get angry, too. So that's what we're going to do for the next hour. Try to empty this area, because there's no actual point where you can actually warp to a bonfire in Duke's Archives that's actually reliable without having to go all the way back around. Okay. One thing, but I wrote it down so I won't forget it. As long as I make sure to actually read. I wouldn't forget to read. Or would I? But I did want to mention that I love the broadsword, because I did mention that. I love the broadsword. Oh, that's funny how I'm such a spry young lad. I really like the broadsword. It is just unfortunate, and I've talked about this before, that as Dark Souls goes on, a lot of core components of the game just stop being useful, or stop being... like, they're not relevant anymore. Like, take parrying, for example. Like, can you parry these guys? Nope. Can you parry the boar that you fight up there? Nope. Archives is actually one of the few, like, late game areas where you can actually still use parrying, because technically the hollows there you can parry. It's just a lot of their attacks are sort of unreliably fast, so it gets more unreasonable. But like the demon ruins, for example, can't parry anything down there. I'm just using parrying as an example. But a lot of the core components to just moving around, backstepping is a great example. Because holy shit is backstepping just worthless, fucking worthless against most enemies in the game. Because what does it do? And the answer is nothing. It doesn't do anything. Especially whenever you can just roll. And the broadsword sort of falls in this category of... if the game was nothing but fighting things that sort of have your mechanics and like hollow mechanics and things like that, not knights and stuff, then it would be a great weapon. I just love this little chaser R2. That's what I love about the broadsword. It's just such a nice little reliable weapon. It's fast. It's not like, it doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. I just really like it. I like it and the S-Stock. Although, the Dark Souls 1 S-Stock anyways. Really enjoy those weapons. Now, I can't go in here because I remember there's a guy in the doorway, and he gets real angry about stuff. It's so stupid. I can't believe I have to come back here. Thought I was done with this shithole. Shithole. It's a fucking shithole. I don't like it. But yeah, I think that's one of the flaws of Dark Souls 1. And probably the series in general, because it's never really done that particularly well. Dark Souls 3 almost did it well. But unfortunately, the core mechanics are so unreliable that you end up just not using them, even at the beginning of the game. But there's some things that you can sort of parry somewhat reliably, and it's sort of an awkward timing that feels bad to use, but it's there. And to me, something feeling good or bad to use is very important within the core design of your game. Like, regardless of how effective it is, it should be satisfying to physically feel like you're using. Ah, what's gonna happen? Tracked into me. Which goes back to what I thought I was going to talk about, and then forgot about, and then remembered again after I listened to it. I was talking about Poise. How I went down to the Four Kings McDonald's plate place down there, as they climbed all over my body. And how they were ignoring my attacks, but I was getting nearly stun-locked by them. You know, whenever I was locking my health and just walking up to the record point for the start of the episode. And I was saying that Poise was probably one of the worst, if not the worst thing in Dark Souls 1. And you can tell why they changed it. And it works really well for PvE. Like, for you. Like, to feel like a badass. If you're just standing there in full havels and things are wailing on you, and it's taking away some health, but it's basically just doing nothing to you. It really empowers you as a player. To have that power fantasy of being the giant fucking badass that can do that. So from that perspective, it does work. But in particular, whenever you have enemies use it against you, whether it's PvP or whether it's Dark Racer or whatever, and enemies are completely ignoring your attacks, or worse, ignoring your attacks and also stun-locking you in the process, then it becomes a big problem. Oh god, I'm gonna have to... At least my stats are higher now. I'm gonna rest it again. I know I rested here, but my brain... It's like whenever you're driving, a lot of you city people don't drive, so you know what I'm talking about. But that sort of self-hypnosis thing, whenever you're driving and you've been driving for so long, you don't even realize that you just got to your destination. Like you're sort of sleep driving. But I sort of sleep fight in Dark Souls sometimes, where I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. Especially whenever I'm talking. It's a skill that you have to develop whenever you're doing LPs, that's for sure. So, it feels bad whenever enemies do that. And I was thinking about that. And how specifically... It sort of coincides with a problem with control inputs. One of the worst ways to design your... Well, not worst ways to design your game, but one of the worst effects of bad design in your game is whenever, God, 79 damage. Is whenever it feels bad to control. Or, worse yet, whenever you perform the controls and, like, you perform an input and it doesn't come out, or your character does something you didn't want that character to do. Like if you're playing like Mega Man or something, and you expect him to, like, you want to run up to an area, slide under something that has to be slid under, and then shoot your gun or something. If you do that, and he instead, like, slides face first into the wall because there's a minor delay to it, or he does the slide, but then he also doesn't attack or something. He doesn't attack at all. It's extremely frustrating. Even if it doesn't result in, like, you getting killed or anything, it's still extremely blistering to your asshole that he would do that and completely ignore your commands. Because you want to feel like whenever you're controlling your video game character, no matter what it is, that your will is being executed in the game properly. No, don't cue it up, come on. Like, you want to have that sensation that your mistakes are your own mistakes because you made a bad decision. Which is one of the things I really appreciate about Dark Souls, is the fact that it's more of a decision-based game rather than an execution game. It's one of the things I absolutely detest about fighting games, because that's half of the skill level in a fighting game. It's just whether or not you're able to perform the command. It doesn't matter that you know, oh, I need to do a cross-up here, or oh, I need to do an anti-aerial. It doesn't matter. Because sometimes you know that you need to do that, and you think you performed the input, but oh, you didn't do it correctly, which means that you lose. Now, with any other genre, that would be death. Oh, fuck you. That's the one attack I would not have been able... I was gonna actually run down the stairs and heal. It's the one thing that I couldn't avoid. I gotta do that all again. I hate this area. But that's probably one of the worst things that can happen with your game. It's just bad controls. More importantly, the player not feeling like they are in control of the controls. They're not... You don't want the player to have detachment from the avatar that they are controlling. Because once you do that, the player is no longer immersed in your game. They're not having an experience. They're fighting the controls. They're analyzing the input of your game rather than actually enjoying the game. So like Poise has a similar problem with that. It's not the same thing, obviously, but it does have a very similar problem, and that it feels like your decisions are being trivialized. That you walked up to someone, like let's say it's an enemy player. So it's something that you can't track as easily. Yet the enemy player could have, who knows how much poise they actually have. They could have the wolf ring on, which you can sort of see from their aura. Nice backstabs, by the way. This is great. Which you can sort of see with their aura. You can look at their armor and maybe sort of do the math in your head. Well, they probably have this amount of poise, but it's not really clear. So it's not like a basic enemy where you can just go, oh, well, they have exactly this amount of poise. I know exactly how much damage they can take before they break, blah, blah, blah. But you walk up to an enemy player, and you catch them out. Like, they make some mistake. They roll the wrong way. They think that you're going to perform some sort of evasive move, but you don't. You instead attack them, or you backstep. Like anyone would ever backstep in a Dark Souls game. But you do something that causes them to get caught out. They made a mistake. You now have the opportunity to attack them and punish them for the mistake that they just made, because they were being foolish. Right? So you attack them. But rather than get stunned and being forced into a disengage, instead of that, I'm trying to get this asshole to come down the stairs instead of waiting up there to ambush me. Instead of that, they completely ignore it and actually punish you in the process. They actually punish you for the fact that they are the ones that made a mistake. And that's the sensation that sucks about poise. Because you can't physically really tell how much poise another player is going to have. And it's sort of the same thing with PvE. Jesus! The same thing with some PvE enemies, too. You just can't tell. And more importantly, even if you do know what that is, it's not something you can easily track. Yeah, come on. Come this way. Come down the stairs, please. Yeah, you punch those raptors. You're doing good, buddy. Even though I've killed you like 1,000,000 times. Even though I've killed him 1,000,000 times, now he's got the pendant. I guess he got it just recently. Wonder how he got it. Is it because an asshole gave it to him? Like just then I shattered his... Like I broke his... Jeez. I broke his poise. Did I know I was going to do that? Nope. Was I doing it beforehand? Nope. Like, for a lot of enemies, it's fine, normally, because even if they have a lot of poise like that big crystal golem does, it didn't matter because, he's just a big lumbering, dunderhead. He can't really track the player that well. The fact that he has a very large amount of health and a very large amount of poise is balanced out by the fact that he moves so awkwardly, his attacks are very telegraphed. There's lots of balancing factors. But whenever you have someone like a player that has all these movement options, and they can do crazy shit because they're the player character, and you combine that with the fact that they can completely ignore your attacks in every way, it doesn't really work to it. Okay, what the fuck was I even doing? Alright. God. I hate this fucking DLC shit. I recognize the quality of the DLC, but I've never enjoyed doing the DLC. It's very strange. I never have fun doing the DLC. The DLC to me always feels like work. I guess because there's more emphasis placed on difficulty. And it just goes back to my personality quirk again. Of I don't want to just have the game be easy and steamroll everything, but I want it to be... Like, I can lock my health and go through the game and still enjoy myself. Because my focus is not really on not dying, it's on never getting hit. Like me personally whenever I play Dark Souls, that's one of the reasons why Dark Souls 3 is so frustrating, because... And why playing a big heavy armor guy is also frustrating in Dark Souls 1, because you can't avoid hits. Dark Souls 3, it's like, no, you're gonna get hit. Like, the game is designed that way. You are meant to be hit by things. And my reaction to that is, fuck no. You don't get to do that. It's shitty. That's really shitty of you. This is my personality. Like, I could lock my health in Dark Souls 1 and go through the whole game, never taking damage from enemies, But I wouldn't really mind, because my goal internally whenever I'm playing is I just don't want to get hit. I don't want to get caught out by enemies. Because my focus is more on general purpose combat rather than like resource use or worrying about my health. I don't really care about those things. In case you haven't noticed, with the many times that I just walk around with half health because I just don't care. I'm concerned more about like just never being hit. That's just how I play the games. I can't even remember how I even got on this topic of conversation. But this is how I think. And health. I was talking about health. But that's this way I think, I guess. In regards to Poise, I'll just track back to that because I can't remember what the hell my point even was. With Poise, they tried to fix it in various ways. It didn't really work too well. I do recognize sort of the need to have Poise, though. Because if you're going to have big, huge weapons, then you need to have a system in which those weapons can be used. Demons sort of did it with hyper armor, and whenever Dark Souls 3 was coming out, I thought, well, they supposedly are going to be using a system like that. So I think that's the proper way to go. Because that's the main... Don't you dare queue up a roll. Because that's really the main problem when it comes to Poise. That's why Poise is necessary in some cases. It's because, like, you don't want to have someone wearing full havels with a dagger just face-fucking you. With this tiny dagger just... And you can't do anything to them because they have infinite Poise because they're in a giant asshole set of armor. A lot of people did do that in this game. And that's something that in design you definitely want to avoid. Yeah, I have to go over the portal. I was trying to remember what to do. So, I was thinking at the time, well, the proper way to fix that then would just have it so that the heavier weapons are the ones that have hyper armor, that give you Poise in the first place, and the one that wins is basically the one that gets overmatched. So armor factors into it, and also the size of the weapon, how heavy the weapon is intended to be, factors into it. So the biggest, slowest weapons are the ones that are always going to win, but they're balanced by the fact that they're big and slow. So even if you're someone that's using like a one-handed hammer, and you're in heavy armor, your Poise would then be less than his, so you can still react like a normal opponent would, and just roll out of the way, or evade, or parry, or whatever have you. And that will be the way that Poise would be balanced. Which they did. Sort of. But the values were so incredibly weak, and more importantly, the time... Is it really following me all the way here? You know what? Oh, no, fuck it. No. But the values were so incredibly small that it was basically ineffective. And the timing on some of the weapons, like if you swung a great axe or something, even though you were swinging the weapon, the window at which the hyper armor would trigger is so incredibly small that it just did not matter, and you would get hit and stunned out of your attack animation regardless. So the window was too small, the numbers were too insignificant, so that basically ruined the entire system. But otherwise, I think it would have been a good idea. They just balanced it in a profoundly stupid, cowardly way, because they had their dicks rock hard for this fucking everyone needs to dodge gameplay bullshit that they are obsessed with post-Bloodborne, post-Dark Souls 2. Anyways. Well, we're here. But in my original design doc thing that I was doing, I did include Poise, something similar to Poise. But I had it be more important, and something that you actually had to build up, and something that you could lose, something that was visible to the enemy player, and something that was visible to you. You would actually have a bar up at the top of your screen, and you could build it up in various ways and lose it in various ways. So basically it was more of a hyper armor gauge that you can initiate using certain attacks and things like that. But anyways, that's just the thing I wanted to talk about. Poise can be a big problem primarily for that reason. Because it is a system that is sort of like having bad controls. It detaches you from your own actions. Because you don't want the enemy player to do something stupid, and then you go in and go, haha, I have you now, sir. And then he's like, nah, win anyways. That's shitty. It feels really, really bad. So, that's that, I guess. Now, next topic in conversation is going to be about bosses in general. The question actually is from Dark Comet 222, who says, how do you feel about bosses that have different phases? I will read the question first, and then I will fight this asshole in here who only has one phase. So that once we're done, we can talk about it. Oh, he's looking pretty. Oh, she's looking pretty. No, don't you do that. Look up. Maybe it is the other side that you're supposed to stand on. Sanctuary Guardian, I don't really like Sanctuary Guardian. Like I said, the DLC really has a hard-on for it's difficult now. Like, it does that shit a lot. Like, it's not that bad. But one of the things I really place a lot of importance on in games is empowerment. That's one of the things I really don't like about Souls games after Dark Souls 1. Well, Dark Souls 1 really is not that hard whenever you look at it. But there does need to be a point in which the boss like stops attacking, or you hit it and you sort of stun lock it or something. At which point you can get in like a big long string of attacks, or like 2 or 3 really great big attacks. Sanctuary Guardian doesn't do that. Sanctuary Guardian is a selfish fucking asshole when it comes to that. Like, it just attacks and attacks and attacks and attacks. And then there's like 1 or 2 windows where you can get in like 1, 2, 3, 4 attacks before... Jesus Christ. So like 3 attacks. Safe attacks. And then that's it. And then it disengages and you have to do it all over again. And it takes minutes of your time. Like, I don't like that when it comes to bosses and enemies. Enemies, like, have a game that's not easy. It needs to be, like, moderately difficult. Like, it needs to... Ooh, that was weird. It needs to have that. Like, I never advocate a purely easy game. There's no sense in having that. Oh, okay, because I'm Ricochet. That's what it is. But there does need to be a point at which you recognize, as a developer, the enemies are in service to the player's experience. Fuck you. The one part I can actually attack you on and you punish me for going there. How dare you attack me from behind? The one part of the fight in which I can actually be hit. And Sanctuary Guardian here is a good example of that. Just a selfish, needy little I'm difficult boss. Like, he's really not that difficult. But he's a huge asshole. And, more importantly, he doesn't have that sequence where you can just get in a shit ton of hits on him. Because the developers prioritized it being difficult more than it being fun for the player to actually attack the enemy. And to me, like, enemies, like, you're the god of the enemies in any game that you are in. So the enemies are always in service to your experience. No one gives a shit if the AI are having a good time. It doesn't matter. Oh no, whatever will the poor AI do? It's so unfair that you get to do this and the enemy doesn't. It doesn't matter. It's a fucking video game. The whole point is to make the player feel like they're having a big accomplishment. Difficulty is part of that. But like the Sanctuary Guardian here, I can barely get up next to that fucking asshole, because he just won't stop moving and attacking. I don't like this boss for that reason. Because I want there to be a part where, like, he gets exhausted, and then he, like, sits there panting or something. Or he has an attack that, if he misses, there's a very long period where he's sort of in this refractory phase where you can just get in a shit ton of hits on him and feel like, yeah, I did it. I anticipated you were going to do that, and you failed. You fucked up. So I get this now. Like, this is my time now as a result. Enemies should have that. Sanctuary Guardian, selfish enemy. Selfish enemy that's only concerned with being difficult. You don't get to have that experience. As a result, like, I'm sure a lot of people prioritize having difficulty. So I'm sure this is probably a lot of people's favorite enemy in the game, or one of their favorite enemies. To me, he's not a bad enemy by any stretch of the imagination. But he's just selfish. He's just a selfish fucking enemy. That doesn't empower the player in any way. And I just don't like that. I don't like these enemies that take a million years to beat because they just never stop attacking. And Sanctuary Guardian is probably the start of it. Like, Bloodborne enemies did it a whole bunch. Some Dark Souls 2 enemies did it a whole bunch. Where they just don't stop attacking because they're special princesses. They're difficult. They're the boss. They need to be really difficult. So as a result, there's a whole lot of time spent in the fight of the boss dictating absolutely everything that's happening, rather than it being a true fight between two equals. And that's probably more the problem I have with it. And some people might say, well, it's the boss. It shouldn't be equal. It should feel like an enemy that you're overcoming, that you have no business being able to overcome. I don't like that. I'm not disagreeing with you or anything. I'm not saying you're wrong. But personally, when it comes to games, I want to feel like I'm the equal. Like, I want to feel, in the end, I was better. Like I lost because I made bad decisions. Or I won because I made good decisions. And I was inevitably stronger than this enemy. Not because, oh, I just pepper them with one attack during this particular part of their attack phase 30 times over a space of like 40 minutes in a single fight or something. Don't care for that at all. So when it comes to like boss phases, going back to that original question, stop fucking attacking, Christ. That's what I don't like about him. And he spends so much time attacking like a little bitch, too. Like, all these fucking ranged attacks. And you can't get out of this. Like, you can't really roll out of this. Look at that. One attack. His big fuck-up. Doing that. And there, I got in 2 attacks just because I ignored his last attack because I figured, well, I'll have the poise for it. Wow. And he had to be, like, glued right up against him, too. Look at that. That was my chance to do damage. He completely ignores it. What a fucking special princess. Like, even there, I got in 1 hit. And only 1, because I had to be so concerned about what he's doing. Shitty enemy. No, not shitty enemy. Just, for my purposes, shitty fucking enemy. I hate fighting enemies like this. I'm sure some people will agree, some people will disagree. It really just comes down to what your preference as a player happens to be. So when it comes to, like, boss phases, like, I remember Spy said this, I forget where it was. It might have been during one of the best friends' streams of Demon Souls when we were talking about things. And it seemed like he asked, don't you agree that Dark Souls 3 at least improved on bosses because they have more phases? And my answer was, well, no, of course not. Because I don't think that highly of phase boss fights. Like, it's not like one is better than the other. And one isn't necessarily worse than the other. Like Sanctuary Guardian here, I mentioned that before I went in because... that question before we went in. Because, this is a no-phase boss fight. This is it. Like, this is the whole thing. It's not like you getting down to 50% and all of a sudden he transforms into Super Sanctuary Guardian. That doesn't happen. The fight is consistently the same the whole time through. But I don't enjoy it. Now, putting another phase on it, will that make me enjoy it? Nope. Really, a phase boss fight is really contingent on whether or not you enjoy every phase. Or if you're sort of a difficulty guy where you just want the fight to be really hard. If you're one of the people like, well, I need to die exactly 20 times on this fight or else I didn't have any fun at all. Because I don't remember it, and I just need to feel that catharsis moment of, oh yeah, big orgasm for me because I died so many times. One of those things. I'm sure you enjoy my straw man argument there. I know I certainly enjoy it. Some people are like that. They need to have that sort of experience. Whereas I'm the opposite. Like, it doesn't bother me at all that it took me one try to defeat the enemy or whatever. As long as it's something... Like, this is fine right now, actually. Where I'm... Like, the Sanctuary Guardian, really, I enjoy the fact that you have to do things. Like, he's a very different enemy in the sense of, like, this, like, roll away, that dodge to the side, his, like, if you get behind him, his tail swing, you can see him doing it. So that's fine. He has, like, this, where you have to dodge to the side, and it's at range. He has the stomp move, where, he, you know, you have to dodge the wave that he creates. That's fine. Like, there's a lot of things that require a lot of different kinds of responses. I really like that about the Sanctuary Guardian. But again, my main problem with the Sanctuary Guardian is that once he does these things, you don't get rewarded. God, Christ, stop, you fucking needy little cunt. You don't get rewarded because everything has to be about fucking baby. Christ. Because he just never fucking stops attacking. So you never get that response time. What the fuck was I saying? So when it comes to good boss design, I would say that it needs to have those components. It needs to have a wide variety of attacks that actually force you to respond in different ways, at different ranges, which the Sanctuary Garden does well. But it also needs to have those moments of, I'm the player, I'm the one whose experience actually matters, because you're just a... Really? Because you're just a dumb, fucking, unthinking AI, and your experience doesn't matter at all. But look at it, it just never stops. Which I'm sure some... Oh man, that's what's the best about him. No, it's fucking awful. Because you never, ever, ever get any empowerment. Oh, right. I forgot never killed him. Go pick up my shit for the hell of it. May as well just die. Because I've never got enough Essence Flash charges to do this. But yeah, those are the components I would say of a good boss design. So when it comes to phases specifically, don't do that. So when it comes to phases, okay, you're gonna service me. Here. Kill me right here, dumbass. Yeah, send that watery shockwave over here. Oh, you got me, didn't you? Okay. But when it comes to, like, phases, the phases have to actually mean something in that regard. Like, the Sanctuary Guardian here, if it just had some... If it just had some, like, after effects to its own decisions, that you could actually punish them, it would be a great boss. In my opinion, anyways. And it only has one phase. But if you have a boss that has, like, 5 phases, then you could have, like, the first phase be something that's really enjoyable. And if that was the whole fight, then it would be a lot of fun. But phase 2 might be, like, a horrible, horrible phase, in which it's horribly unfun to fight, and it has lots of problems, in which case now the boss fight is ruined, even though the first phase of the fight was absolutely fine. You can run into that problem. Also, Dark Souls 3 in particular has that problem. What was... I've mentioned this before in this LP, I think. Of whatever the fuck her name is. Big angry man with cauldron in the ice world. And Bloodborne lady that teleports and uses a sight. You know what I'm talking about. I hate that fight. I think that's a really shitty fight. Some people think it's the best fight ever. It has, what, 4 phases? 5 phases? It has 5 phases! And it's really hard, and you have to do all of them in a row. That makes it the best, because it's difficult. You know, just typical Dark Souls player schisms. To me, having more phases of that fight doesn't add anything to it. And more importantly, like, you could have divided those up into at least, like, 3 different fights, and those would have been good fights. But because you made it about the difficulty, and made it about the fact that it's this huge phase fight, so it's so memorable, because you did that, it made it a shitty fight. And again, some people might disagree with that. Oh, look at that! They're right here! Who would have thought? Okay. One attack. Wow. I don't like fights like this. They just take absolutely forever because you have to baby the AI. Like, you have to just bait out very specific attacks at very specific ranges. Gotta get back in position. Wow. You rarely see that, and I actually had my shield up. I didn't even get a say in that one. Go! Yeah, he just blasted through my shield. My decision did not matter in that particular instance. Alright, that's the one you actually want. It'd be nice if you could shatter his Poise here. Got him 3 attacks! Wow, 3! So empowering. Look at that. The fact that he dodges out of the way. Like, he makes a mistake, he fucks up, and you're like, oh, now's my time to shine. Nope, no, he just gets out of it. Because fuck you, I'm more important than you, the player, that are actually having the experience that's being sold. Anyways, you guys get the idea. I don't have a high opinion of multi-phase boss fights, because it's basically just redesigning the boss. Like, you're just... The phases don't intersect with one another in a seamless way so that they're the same fight. You're basically just making 2 fights in a... You're basically just making 2 fights in a row. Right, enough! Just get the fuck away from me! Fucking needy little fucking bitch! God! Everything always has to be about you. I cannot stand this shit. I hate this boss. I really do. Like, it would be a perfect boss if just not for this constant barrage of animations. If you just had a few more frames in which it was like this. It fucked up. It fucked up and it just decides, no, it's not gonna affect me. I'm just gonna leave. If you just had a little bit more, it would be perfect. And I would love this boss. Just fucking awful. But that's kind of what I'm talking about in regards to, I guess that's the point of discussion mainly for this particular episode, is how, God, is how you should empower the player, and how controls and decisions are important, and how they can create detachment from your own experience. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, not 4. Like, to me, I should get 5 during a sequence like that. Like, if the animation is something that actually could cause a lot of damage, and it's something that, like, I know it's an AI, so it doesn't really make mistakes necessarily. But if it plays an animation that is really not fortuitous for it in that situation, I should get in like 5 good hits and have that feel really good to do. And if I'm using a slower weapon, I should get in like 3. I mean, go fuck yourself if you're using a big slow weapon. Like that too? Did I deserve that? Nope, it just decided for itself. I'm going to use this animation, and you're not going to get out of it, even though you were punishing me for me doing something I shouldn't have been doing. Like, just whenever you give enemies too many advantages, it's not that it becomes too difficult, it's that it becomes unrewarding. And that's the problem I have with it. I feel like you guys get. But that did lead into another, I guess, once I get to the Mushroom Lady, I'll just end the episode, assuming I even beat this boss. God, it does too much damage. Of course, that's not really the fault of the way the game was balanced. That's my fault. Because I made a bad decision. Nope. Nope. Not gonna do that. You're not gonna cheat again. Are you gonna actually give me something? Are you gonna give me something? There we go. Thought for sure it was gonna leap up into the air at the last second again. Or do that stupid fucking tail whip. Just because it can. God. What a terrible, terrible boss that could have been... Just that one thing could have made it a really, really good boss. Can you imagine fighting two of those things? If you come back here, you have to fight two of them. Like, after you complete the area, if you come back, if you want to, you can fight two of them at the same time. Why would anyone want that? The main problem with them... If you fight more than one enemy in Dark Souls, it's usually balanced by the fact that they have very long animations. Like, they land and they have to have recovery time. But the Sanctuary Guardian doesn't have that. Like, it can just keep attacking regardless of what it did, if it wants to. It's just random. Like, it might sit there and linger there long enough for you to hit it, or it might just decide, nah, fuck you, I win, and just keep doing it forever. So, having two of those at the same time, it could just kind of comes down to just face-fucking it for a long enough time that it actually just works. Not super great. You know, Elizabeth actually looks pretty good like that. But the last thing I actually wanted to talk about, you know, Freeland's ass kind of looks kind of flat. Unfortunately, I don't have I can't manually control the size of her butt. Just the size of her hips, unfortunately. So she can bear lots of children, she just won't have more pushing for the cushion. That's what I said. Sad state of affairs for Freeland. Okay. But the last thing I wanted to talk about in regards to that is bosses versus area difficulty. Because when it comes down to it, I actually have never really enjoyed bosses in Dark Souls. There's a few of them that are fine, but like I said before, I don't really prioritize difficulty. I can lock my health and go through the game and enjoy it perfectly. As long as I am avoiding hits, I'm fine. So when it comes to bosses aren't really designed that way. They're designed to be difficult. Because, I mean, they're bosses. They have to be. So to me, I've always greatly more enjoyed the actual areas. It was one of the reasons why Undead Burg, to me, is my favorite spot in the game. Because the enemies there can be a little bit bullshit sometimes. Like, there's like one or two animations. Like, if you can remember it for yourself, there's one animation where the hollow kind of just takes off at rocket speed and jet boosts itself into your face. And there's not much you can do about it. You just sort of have to read the amount of space that you have. And if you're like this amount of space, usually is whenever they sort of initiate that. So you can sort of pick up on that over time. But that's like the one bullshit thing they do. But generally, just as far as like enemies go, they're pretty well balanced. And there's enough of them that it's the right amount of challenge for that area, and that area is fun to go through. So I love that area, because to me, I've always prioritized experiencing the area versus the difficulty of a boss. So whatever Dark Souls 3 had sort of this boner for, no, now even the areas are populated with like knights that have bullshit moves that ignore your decisions. And to me, that's the main problem with those enemies in Dark Souls 3. Is the fact you can fight like Silver Knights whenever you get to Anor Londo in Dark Souls 3. And you actually fight the Silver Knights, though, they're one of the most fun enemies in the game because they have to use movesets from Dark Souls 1, where they were actually fair. And those are really fun enemies because your parries work against them, blocking works against them, rolling. Like, all the basic mechanics of the game work against them, but they're just tough-ass enemies. And they have good moves, but they're all telegraphed. The whole thing is fair. Everything about them is fair. They're great enemies. But in Dark Souls 3, they took that and put that sort of general principle with... what are the name of the... I can't even remember the names of the damn things. But like the first knights that you encounter in the first area, whenever, right before you fight like the Dancer and Fat Ass, whatever the fuck his name is. Those knight enemies, tremendously unfair. Not fun to fight at all. Because they do things like I'm fine with them like hitting you as you try the circle behind them and stuff. But they're too reliable on raising their shields. You can't really pair them effectively because the pairing system sucks and their animations are a little bit too fast. The timing's really bad. They're placed a little bit too closely together. Again, you can't circle behind them, certainly. Whenever they raise their shield, you have the ability to break their guard, but they read your inputs, like Dark Souls 2 had this problem too. So, the second that you try to kick their shield, they'll just read your input and go, oh, now I can get in free damage, and they'll just cheat. They fucking cheat and just hit you. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. So, by prioritizing difficulty over that experience of just general gameplay, it ruined the areas as well. So you combine that with the bosses that are so focused on, well, it needs to have more phases, because more phases, for some bizarre reason to people, means it's better. I mean, all a phase is just more... It's basically an unrelated boss fight that's just tacked on to another one. I mean, it changes the... It depends on how long the fight goes. Phases can be fine if there's like one minor thing that changes about it. Like the start of a fight, they're very slow, they're very methodical. You can get in a whole bunch of hits, but then they do something and they get really fast. But they have longer, after effects to their moves. So if they attack you, then they kind of linger in that one spot because they missed. But otherwise, they are really fast so they can get you in a combo or something. Just balancing like that. If you do a phase like that, then it's okay, but it just makes it more dangerous as far as balancing it goes and making sure that the experience is a valid one goes. These are things that you just have to worry about whenever you're designing your game. But most importantly, like the theme of this episode, is the player should be having fun. And fun... This is... There's a more elaborate discussion about game design. A lot of modern games have been falsely equating difficulty with fun. Difficulty can be fun because it's in service to the experience. That's what I like about Dark Souls 1. That's why I'm replaying it. Because Dark Souls 1 intrinsically is not that difficult, it is fair. And that's the reason why I did the aggression mod, because even though it cranks up the aggression and they have more damage, most of the enemies, most of them, are still fair. Like whenever I went to go get the dumb pendant back in Anor Londo in the Duke's Archives. It took a while to get those enemies just because of the inflated numbers, but they were still fair enemies. And remember, I enjoy it. I can lock my health and go through the game enjoying it that way, as long as I'm able to avoid enemies and avoid hits and things. And I was still able to just turn my brain off and talk while I was doing it, because the enemies had fair movements. You could still deal with it, even if it is sort of bullshit because of the way that shields work and whatnot in Dark Souls 1, which is an unrelated discussion. But you guys get the idea. That's what I'm placing priority on. As long as you are respecting the player and not saying, fuck you, this is hard, deal with it, then your game should be fine. Difficulty should be in service to the player's experience. The player's experience is priority above everything. Everything else. Difficulty needs to be there. Lots of things need to be there. But player experience is the thing that you put on a pedestal. Empower the player. Don't treat them like dumb babies and just give them everything, because then that's insulting, and it also ruins the player's experience. It's a very careful balance. That also reminded me, I interrupted myself because I was thinking, a lot of games have been chasing the esports crowd for this reason. Like, they've been chasing esports money. A lot of games have been... like, For Honor is a great example of this. I was thinking about this today, actually. About how they were chasing the competitive sports crowd. They wanted to make sure that, oh, it's high-level play. It's so... like, they wanted to make it a fighting game. It should have just been a general purpose, like, arcadey sort of light co-op, light competitive game, in which you mainly were, like, killing enemies and things like that. Like, the general format of For Honor was great, but what ruined it was the fact that the core experience of playing the game was absolutely miserable for various reasons. Whether it be technical issues, whether it be actual gameplay, like, just... people, like, game developers keep forgetting this. They keep chasing, like, oh, it needs to be competitive, they need to be able to turn it into esport. No! Stop doing that! You're ruining your games! Because whenever you're designing the game, your core audience, your core install base, is always going to be the general player population. That isn't going to be playing esports. That isn't going to be worrying about things like frame rate or peer-to-peer. They don't even know what you're talking about. The only thing they know is they pick up the game, they start moving around, they think, oh, this feels good. And then they kill an enemy, they say, oh, that was fun, I killed that enemy. And if they just generally are having fun with the game, whether or not they're consciously prioritizing difficulty or whatever, and people are all different, it doesn't matter. As long as they're doing that, then the game will be successful. And anything that you want after that will develop out of it. So people are putting the cart before the horse in regards to things like difficulty or competitive esports. And they're trying to make the game about those things, and that's what's ruining a lot of modern games. Because they're trying so hard to leap ahead of player experience, like individual player experience. Like, the game should be made for me, like, not me specifically, like the player. I should be able to move around, attack, and feel good about what I'm doing. And it should be fun to be able to do those things. After that, you can worry about difficulty, esports, whatever. But so many developers are doing this that they look at people like me that don't prioritize difficulty, don't give a shit about esports, and they say, well, fuck that person. Who cares about them? We want to focus on these things, because we're aiming for the top, right? They're falsely equating the value of those things. And that's what ends up ruining a lot of modern games. So don't do those things. Just don't do it. That's the lesson of this thing. Make sure that your inputs are good. Make sure that the control feels good. Make sure that even if a boss is difficult, like Sanctuary Guardian out there are moments during the fight in which you just fucking wail on him, and it feels amazing to do it. Because it gives you the feeling of, I fucked up that boss because I outsmarted it. I did something good, and I'm being rewarded for it. So whenever you have things like Dark Souls 3, or like that example of that boss outside, where you're just very, very slowly, over a period of 30 minutes, just perfectly mimicking the same pattern over and over and over again, and just getting in one hit, disengage, one hit, disengage, one hit, disengage. And you turn the fight into one about just working, just fucking working, to be able to get the fight over with. It makes it a miserable experience. And you can see that, this is one of the reasons why I was doing the aggression mod, you can see that whenever the numbers get inflated. Like, Sanctuary Guardian normally is absolutely fine, because usually the fight ends up being over with before you notice it. And if the Sanctuary Guardian out here actually did have those moments of where you just absolutely could wail on him, the fight would be over in like 30 seconds or 40 seconds, right? Because his health values would just be way too low. So whenever you inflate those health values, you can see through the cracks of how it was designed, and you recognize, and like, don't leave a thing in the comments of, well, it's only a problem because of the aggression mod. No, I have a problem with this normally. I just see it more often than most people do, I guess. Just like how you're seeing Freela's ass right now. So, the aggression mod highlights things like that. Like, I use hyperbole a lot whenever I'm talking about things. Not because I'm trying to strawman the argument, but because I'm trying to exacerbate the problem so much that it's very apparent what it is. Because if it's so outlandish, you're like, well, that's silly. And I even say, well, this is silly, but... Then we can both agree this isn't how it is, but you can still get my point. Whereas if I just sort of inflated the example, then you would just say, well, that's a bullshit example, and I would have to agree with you, which would defeat my point entirely. That's why I use hyperbole. That's why we're using the aggression mod. That's why I am turning on the red phantoms and leaving them on. Because it's useful. Because whenever whenever it takes me a million hits to get through enemies... Sure, it's frustrating, and it's funny, I guess, that I'm frustrated. But more importantly, whenever I start talking about things like design, I can point to it, and we can have a prolonged sequence where I'm actually showing the example. And you can actually see, well, yeah, this hinges completely on whether or not the health values are a reasonable amount. Because once it gets past that, then the entire thing falls apart. Sanctuary Guardian just being an example of that. I hope that makes sense to you. Because I can hear people in the comments already falsely equating it to just being about the mod and nothing else. But really, I wanted to make sure that you saw, like, the Red Phantom thing with the Sanctuary Guardian. Just to highlight, this takes forever. There's nothing inherently difficult about the boss itself. It's more about that empowerment problem that I'm talking about. Hopefully you agree. I say hopefully because if you don't, then I'll probably throw a fit and feel the need to over-explain myself for the next 2 episodes like I did with the fucking tail-cutting shit again. Anyways, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll talk to Elizabeth since I'm sure you guys got frustrated at the very end. God, you can't see her eyes at all.
From what faraway age has that?
She looks amazing like this, though.
Thy scent is very human indeed, but not intolerable.
You're stinky, but it's okay.
Princess Dusk's savior. Thine aura is precisely as she described. I thank thee deeply for rescuing
It is interesting. Like, she smells me, but she can also sort of sense my aura. Sure, why not?
Snatched away by that horrifying primeval human. And so I must ask, couldst thou once more play the savior?
I do find it interesting to think about little baby Dusk having... Like, this is her handmaiden, Elizabeth. She's the handmaiden to Princess Dusk. But she can't move. So it makes me... It does service the imagination a lot, because you can imagine a young girl playing in this area, surrounded by these horrifying, like, abominations here. I can't remember. You really have to wonder when the... I'm not going to talk about lore playthrough, but I talked about that before, about the idea of when exactly these statues were placed here and why they are here, and whether or not they're statues at all. Maybe they are actually people. So when this happened. But anyways, the whole imagery of this little girl befriending this mushroom and having the mushroom be a royal, like, she was assigned as her handmaiden. This is really interesting. This really cute imagery, and it really kind of sparks the imagination, I guess. Really cool. Anyways, you guys get the idea. I'm here to help.
Thank you. I am Elizabeth, guardian of this sanctuary.
I'll fuck you up if
Something
you
of a godmother
do
to
anything
Princess Dusk.
by spitting on
I
you.
shall assist
Oh,
thee
she
to
doesn't have
my
a mouth.
utmost, for I am one with the sorceries of Urasil.
She is one with the sorceries of Lucille. Even though she doesn't actually sell any. But we won't mention that. We won't mention that she's blind either.
May the flames guide thee.
It is super weird, though, that she is adherent to Lord Gwyn. Like, she actually believes that. So even if she was created by magic, and she's one with the magics of Ulasil, she apparently is as programmed as all the other humans in this area. Anyways, we'll go through the DLC next episode. Just get the shit kicked out of us. Just the fucking shit kicked out of us. But it will be fair. More or less. More or less. The aggression mod will see to that, won't it? Yes, yes, yes. Alright. Say goodbye, Freelid. See ya next year. See you next year, probably, because of this fucking schedule. I'm trying really hard to get that comic done, and it's just taking forever because it's a comic. People don't understand that when you draw one panel of a comic, it is a miniature picture. Just because the whole page is one picture doesn't mean that each panel isn't its own picture. So whenever you have 6 pages that have like 9 pictures each on it, that's 54 pictures you have to draw. It's crazy. Anyways, you guys get the idea. Bye. Oh, I can't wait to eat that fucking sandwich. Fuck yeah, pastrami or salami, whatever the fuck it is. I should probably stop recording now.